Outside the Box Reviews, we're taking a look at the Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Vegetto figure. And the Vegetto figure is one I've been really looking forward to coming out, because as a kid this was one of my first Dragon Ball Z figures. I didn't even know who he was at the time. Yeah kids, this was back in the day of only the Frieza saga having made it to TV, and internet being slow dial-up. But in standard S.H.Figuarts form, they've given us a figure loaded with interchangeable pieces and accessories, so let's not waste any time and dive right in. Vegetto comes with a wide array of interchangeable hands. Here we have two open blasting hands, one right and left. We have a right and left grabbing or more intense energy hand, two fists, and then this kind of weird shaped hand that we'll get into later. These hands are all really nicely done in that white gloved style that fits the character, except these grabbing hands actually still have the fingernails on them. They're just redone versions of bare hands. They didn't resculpt them at all. That's a bit of a bummer. Vegetto also comes with these interchangeable arms, as you saw in the beginning of the video. You could take your figure, pop his arms off, and then peg these into the sockets here. And you have Vegetto with his arms crossed. I love this feature in the Dragon Ball line. I think it's really, really neat, especially with the characters that need it. Very, very cool. I love this feature. Vegetto also comes with, I guess you would actually call it, two separate heads. The hairpiece is actually what serves as the head. See, it's very nicely detailed. They actually share the exact same sculpt, both hair pieces. One's just done in that Super Saiyan blonde. This one's done in a nice black. No real shading here on the black hair, but the peg hole to connect it to the body is actually right there at the bottom of the hair. So I guess you could kind of call this the head of the figure. Just to give you a better look at its Super Saiyan hair, not a whole lot of paint detail on there. Actually, I don't think there's any detail. I think it's just solid yellow plastic, but it still looks pretty darn good. We get two separate heads for the non-Super Saiyan look. We get this more passive, stoic looking face. All the faces have the earrings on there. The hair detail's well done, including the sideburns coming down above his ears. A nice touch, but very classic, just kind of pissed off face. And of course it wouldn't be Dragon Ball Z unless we have one where he was screaming. Let's look into the side on this one, which I'm not a huge fan of, but we do have variety between heads, so having one that's looking to the side isn't the worst thing, unlike with some other figures where you only have the one option. Similar options for the Super Saiyan head. We have this one here that's a more serious face, just closed mouth, looking angry. Another screaming head, this one looking straight ahead. And one I really like, looking off to the side, smirking. I think that's a great added piece here. I really like that head. I'll probably use that a lot. To switch out a face and attach a head, all you gotta do is pull the bangs off the head here. Pick the face you want to stick on. It pegs into these two lower holes on the hair. Then you just peg the bangs right back on. And there you've got your Super Saiyan head. And as I mentioned before, the peg right there just pegs onto the body. Vegetto also comes with one last accessory, an energy effect beam. And I love that it comes with an effect piece. I think that's very necessary with these kind of characters. We have a great kind of explosion burst where it would come out of his hand. And then this really kind of angular looking spiky blast. Now I don't know exactly what this is, if it's a named attack or anything like that. I don't recognize it, but it's very cool looking. This is set up to work with your character one of two ways. We have a gap here at the back, and we could use this kind of closed off hand that Vegetto comes with. And the entire hand, all fingers, slide right into the piece, and you have Vegetto blasting his opponent. Or if you have your own Tamashii stand, there is a peg hole here at the base of the effect. Peg right onto that stand. Then you use the Tamashii stand to give him more of a hands-free approach. You could use a two-handed blast or different hands if you didn't want to use that kind of strangely shaped one. I think that's a great option. I'm glad they gave us this piece. Plus it allows us to use it with other characters, which is always a plus. And since I've covered the face and the hands here, everything else will be pretty familiar if you're familiar with the Goku figure, because it is a very similar body. We have the very low-cut tunic here. I don't know if this is exactly the same style that Goku has. I sold that figure and planning to rebuy it, so I don't have it to compare. But we do have the low cut blue outer jumpsuit with the orange underneath, the pieces sticking out of the shoulders here. A lot of great detail done here on the neck with the muscles. The arms are well done as well. There's kind of a nice sheen to them to use with some of the Super Saiyan characters to kind of give it that look that there's energy around them by giving it that kind of overspray of orange. We do have the rest of the glove here sculpted onto the forearm. It's kind of bunched up here at the wrist. There's a kind of a blue shading in there to give it a darker shadowy look, which is nice. Not much shading throughout the rest of the costume, honestly. It's really just straight up blue and straight up orange. You do get a straight up blue belt that is almost invisible against the rest of his costume. The standard lower torso, very similar to what we have with Goku. A lot of nice wrinkles though in this. It looks very nice through that effect. There's some black shading here in the back, which is interesting. Pants, really well done. I like the sculpt on these a lot. Baggy around the knee. Then we come down here to the boots at the bottom. That Saiyan style boot, which is very, very cool. Now I've never had a chance to look at the Super Saiyan Vegeta figure, so I'm not sure how many of these parts are reused off of that, if any. I don't think it would be because I thought it was more of a skin tight costume, but I could be wrong. For articulation, it is pretty standard for a Figuarts figure, but that means a lot of articulation. We do get a ball joint and hinge at the neck, so it'll look up and down, not too far up because of the hair. Side to side is very easy. There's also a ball joint at the base of the neck, so you can get some further tilting and forward and back motion there. Get a ball joint at the shoulder, allow you to go very far forward and back. It's actually a double ball joint, so you can kind of move the armpit joint around. The sleeve of the shirt is on a ball joint, so you can move it to cover up the gap. You can move very far out to the side and very far down with the arm. You can swivel at the bicep. Have a double jointed elbow that bends past 90 degrees. We have a swivel as well as a hinge inside the wrist, similar to what Hot Toys uses with their joints. At the waist, you can kind of pull the figure apart a little bit and expand the full range of motion very far forward and back. The belt helps hide the seam. You can also rotate side to side and tilt quite a bit. The legs are fantastic. You can pull down that joint to get a better range of motion, go forward and back out to the side. You can have it up and still get some of those poses, but pulling it down gives you a lot more range. You also have a rotation here at the upper leg. Really nice joint here at the knee. I love how it stays flush and looks like it's just a folded up piece of cloth when it's bent. Not so good from the front, but from the side it looks really nice. Then we have a nice ball joint here at the ankle, and a hinge at the toe. And overall, I really like this figure. I've always had a soft spot for the character, specifically because of having that action figure as a kid. Without ever knowing the character in the TV show, I just had an affection for the character design. Plus the idea of fusion is just too cool. I'm really happy with this figure. He has great accessories, great detail on him. I did mention that there's not a lot of painted detail in the clothing. I'm really not all that upset about it. The figure still looks great. The color scheme is something that could come off as being some cheesy Florida Gators fan jersey or something, but it definitely avoids that. Watching some of the early reviews of this figure before it was out here in the States, I was a little disappointed to see that it didn't come with a head for Goku and Vegeta. I kind of was hoping there'd be a head that's like a surprised look with one earring each, so you could create a fusion behind Vegetto here. And having this figure, while I do think that would be a cool idea, I don't miss it as much as I thought I would, just because there's a lot going on here. So this figure gets a very strong recommend. Really awesome figure. And since it seems like they are starting to focus more on the Buu saga here with the Dragon Ball figures, maybe we will get a Gotenks with Super Saiyan 3 hair and normal hair and Super Saiyan hair. And of course, the kids that make up Gotenks. And for that matter, a Buu Saga Vegeta with interchangeable Majin head, of course. And honestly, the one I really want, not really from the Buu Saga, but I would love a Gogeta as well. That was another figure I had as a kid that I really liked without knowing the character. I guess I just had a thing for the fusion characters. Make sure you check me out on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also follow me on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been another Outside the Box Reviews. Stay tuned for more to come.